The guiding principles of this philosophy are based on integrity, accountability, equal treatment of suppliers, and transparency. Now I'll delve deeper into analysis of budget figures for the year 2024. On the upcoming sheets, I will analyze the revenue and the expenses, comparing the budgeted figures of 2024 with those from 2023. The current quarter four actuals for 2023 and the figures from the annual report for 2022. Initially, I will offer a visual comparison of the figures, then I will provide a detailed explanation of the main reasons behind the increase in both revenues and expenses. On this sheet, an overview is provided of the revenue and expenses for the various periods, with figures in the millions. The budgeted figures for 2024 are displayed on the left, followed by the current actuals as reported in quarter four for the 2023. Then the budgeted figures for 2023, and finally the actuals from the financial statements for 2022, which is shown to the right. For the budget 2024, we anticipate revenue of 575 million guilders and expenses of 573 million guilders. Upon reviewing this sheet, it's evident that our expenses and revenue for the various periods are closely aligned. In 2022, expenses slightly exceeded revenue, resulting in a slight negative result of minus 5 million. For the budget 2023, we anticipated a slight positive result of 1 million guilders, which based on actuals, we expect to be much more positive than budgeted, primarily due to actual expenses than anticipated. In 2024, we estimate a positive result of 2 million guilders. It's important to note that the figures for 2024 are slightly inflated due to the inclusion of funds received primarily from TBO, which are included on both the revenue and expenses sides of the budget. In the previous periods, there were issues with receiving and using these funds because if they were not included in the budget, as such, we could not make use of them. To prevent this issue, we made sure to include as much of these in the budget. In this slide, we focus on the revenue, with tax revenue comprising of 80% of the total revenue for the country. In 2023, tax revenue increased by 18%, or 63 million guilders, compared to 2024. For 2024, we estimate a further increase of 11%, or 45 million guilders, compared to 2023. This increase in taxes is partly attributed to economic growth, with GDP expanding by 7% in 2023 and is expected to grow by 6% in 2024. We believe that this increase in taxes is partially due to economic growth and partly due to the collection efforts undertaken by the tax department. Specific project teams were assigned to focus on improving tax collection. Additionally, we anticipate that the implementation of the new tax system will further enhance this collection by simplifying the processes. As we examine the details of the tax revenue further, it's evident that the two primary revenue generators are payroll tax and turnover tax. In 2024, we have increased the projected revenue for these taxes in line with expected economic growth. Additionally, we have included an expected revenue of 9 million from the tourist tax in the budget for 2024. It is anticipated that this tourist tax will be implemented by mid-year. The introduction of this tax will help with the reduction of other taxes, thereby alleviating the burden on our citizens and business community as included in the tax reform initiative. We now dive into the expense detail, and here we will examine expenses in more detail. For the expense categories, personnel goods and services, social services, grants, and subsidies account for 95% of total expenses. In 2024, the major increases are primarily personnel expenses, which is 27 million guilders, goods and services, an addition of 18 million guilders, and grants and subsidies, 11 million guilders. The expenses for social services remain aligned with prior years. Summary increase in revenue. On this slide, it summarizes the main revenue increase. Total revenue has increased by 58 million guilders compared to the budget for 2023. Of this increase, 31 million is attributed to higher taxes, with the turnover tax and payroll tax increases based on actuals and expected economic growth. The 9 million increase in tourist tax revenue is based on the law coming into effect and implementation by the mid-year. The remaining revenue increase is due to the inclusion of the sale of shares of Veneer, expected to generate at least minimum 30 million guilders, which we'll go deeper into at the end of the presentation. And funds to be received for projects, including TWO projects, totaling 7 million guilders. Summary increase in expenses. On this slide, it outlines the main increase in expenses for the year 2024, which amounts to 56 million guilders compared to the budget 2023. The primary increases are as follows. Interest expenses have increased by 30 million guilders. This is mainly due to the refinancing of COVID loans in November, which were previously at 0% and now are at 3% annually. St. Martin secured the most favorable interest rate compared to other islands. Discussions on further refinancing details will continue throughout the year, with a deadline set for September 2024. Subsidies have increased by 12 million guilders compared to the budget 2023. This is mainly a result of actual expenses based on the new funding system calculation for school subsidies. Accordingly, the budget has been adjusted to reflect these actual costs. Lastly, the major increase in budgeted expenses for the year 2024 is the rise in personnel expenses, amounting to 27 million guilders. Of this increase, 10 million is allocated for the much-deserved and necessary indexation of civil servant salaries, set at 2% for 2024. This adjustment also considers step increases where applicable and reflects payroll adjustments due to the updated function book of justice workers. Civil servant salaries have not been indexed since 2012, so we have included a 2% indexation for 2024, and have also incorporated a 2% indexation in the multi-year aspect of the budget, ensuring annual salary indexation in the coming years. It's also good to note that for the indexation to take place, the budget needs to be approved. Additionally, a 2 million increase is attributed to adjusting vacation pay from 6% to 7% for 2024. We've also included an additional 1% increase in the multi-year budget for 2025, ensuring civil servants receive 8% vacation pay annually in 2025. We've made these adjustments to match, at least match the other islands, Curacao and Aruba, who already are at that percent. Furthermore, OZR expenses have increased by 4 million based on actuals, and social premiums have increased by 5 million due to the increase in salary-related expenses. I'd also like to add, when it comes to the OZR expenses, that it's also important that we continue to push to have the Athlete Care implemented as soon as possible. It would, oh, sorry, what was it official name? SAHA. The SAHA to SAHA? The SAHA as soon as possible. So the SAHA will not eliminate our worries for OZR, but it will contribute to the sustaining us to be able to continue paying the OZR.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you. SXM, your social and health insurance is SXM, your social and health insurance is.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, yeah. Your social and health insurances.
The Ministry of Finance Policy 2024. For the year 2024, the Ministry of Finance will prioritize the following policies: increase efficiency and effectiveness of the tax authorities' levy and collection processes, simplifying the tax system, improve coordination of the government budget with the needs and well-being of the residents of St. Martin, a more realistic and well-substantiated budget that meets policy goals and the end of day standards, improved accountability of public finances, guaranteeing that the quality of the financial organization is at the desired level and that the government carries out its supervisory tasks properly, improving fiscal policy. Many of these policies have already been initiated in previous years, and the ministry remains committed to prioritizing and advancing them. Key initiatives such as implementing the new tax system and financial system, providing training to civil servants, undertaking tax reform, addressing financial backlog issues, and enhancing budget quality will be pivotal in achieving these policy objectives. Other important matters: investments. In the 2024 budget, the 90 million investments for the 2023 budget have been carried over. Although funding has been secured for these investments, they must be included in the budget for the current year to be executed. Additionally, an extra 140 million guilders has been allocated for investments to be carried out in 2024. The top 5 new investments included in the budget 2024 are the Phase 2 of the prison, the wastewater project Phase 1 for KB, the purchase of land, the road repair, and the new building for the Met Office. I anticipate that the specific ministers will provide further details on these investments in their respective presentations. On the purchase of land, I'll touch on that one. The purchase of land was initiated based on multiple concerns. One was the growing need for our lack of burying ground area. We have come to the tail end of our space when it comes to burials, and in addition to that, for housing, among others. We initiated the process of looking for land, and this land is the land we've looked at is land in close to Belvedere from the Plants family, and the project then has been set by Vromi to execute. As I previously mentioned earlier on in the presentation, I forgot what slide it was, we also mentioned partial or sales of Benin share. In 2020, when we came into government, I personally started a task on looking on the valuations of all government-owned companies. I thought it was important to know the value of our companies. When I came in, we didn't ask a question, and it was not done before, so we didn't have an idea of what the value of our companies were. Also, during the pandemic, when Benin needed funds to survive, but also funds for investments, us, the government, as their majority shareholder, were not able to help at a point in time. I also discussed with the Council of Ministers at that time that we should start to look at strategic partners for government-owned companies. If you look around the world, most government-owned companies, most governments have divested their shares in government-owned companies, but these countries are also typically bigger. What I did discuss with them, let's look at strategic partners for the government-owned companies, which will, one, generate revenue for government by selling partial shares, but also allowing the companies to have a shareholder that could continue to invest in them. We started this process, and we also wanted to make sure that any shares or partial shares of Veneer would also still remain locally. So we have, there is a couple of entities that have shown interest. We've started the process initiated the process of exploring the potential sales of Veneer shares and highlighted this. The proposed purchase of the majority of government shares to Veneer aligns with the government's strategic goals and will provide a significant boost to the airline's operational capabilities. It's also something that Veneer themselves are interested in. The issuing of new shares to bolster Veneer's capitalization is of keen interest, as this will stimulate the airline's financial position and pave the way for future growth. This will bring new opportunities for the current shareholder, namely immediate funds, the sale of the shares of Veneer, immediate funds for the government of St. Martin, addressing financial obligations, revenue boosts, a prosperous Veneer boosts government revenue shares through taxes and contributions, providing an annual benefit, shareholder dividend that mandated the mandated dividend policy requiring the distribution of percentages of Veneer's free cash flow, ensuring that all shareholders benefit from a cash return on their equity. Equity growth, the anticipated increase in Veneer's share value benefits all shareholders, contingent on a successful growth strategy. And an item that I personally put in that document was an employee share option. So a portion of the shares of Veneer will be set for all employees of Veneer. So all employees of Veneer now would also have a portion of shares as part of their assets, as part of their contract. Other benefits include economic growth. Further expansion stimulates economic growth, creating jobs across various sectors, from pilots and flight attendants to maintenance, customer service, ramp and administrative staff. Increased resilience, shareholders with robust financial resources can provide support during natural disasters or crises, ensuring that airlines' stability and continuity. Veneer's performance over time makes it the optimal time to sell shares. From 2011 till 2021, Veneer has shown a volatility in its performance influenced by external factors such as hurricanes Irma, Maria, and the 2019 pandemic. Despite challenges, the company has witnessed positive performance in the last 2 years, namely 2022 and 2023, showcasing a general uptrend in shareholders' equity. In 2023, Veneer fully repaid the $4.5 million loan it received from the Dutch government during the COVID pandemic. Notably, the 2024 is anticipated to mark the first year of positive shareholder equity on the book value since 2010. By being able to manage and increase its performance, Veneer has pinpointed the following direction, setting initiative for the future. Improve the returns on Twin Otter aircraft by purchasing 2 aircraft instead of leasing them. Expand service to the broader Caribbean by increasing the ATR fleet. Venture into the ground handling business by commercializing Veneer's ground handling concession, and achieving the objectives on generating steady organic growth and obtaining additional funding, which will be facilitated by the capitalization of Veneer.
SXM, your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXV, your social and health insurances.
For all of life's twists, turns, and defining moments, RBC is a blend for all of you.
Since taking on the position of Minister of Justice, one of my main goals has been to enhance the internal workings of the ministry to ensure efficient fulfillment of its duties. The vision of the Ministry of Justice is to encompass the assurance of law and order, effective law enforcement, enhanced safety, security, and the maintenance of public order throughout the island of St. Martin. The mission of the Ministry of Justice is to establish the requisite conditions for preserving safety, security, and upholding law and order while ensuring the legal certainty of the community of St. Martin. Throughout my 4-year tenure, I remained committed to addressing the challenges and needs of the personnel of the Ministry of Justice. The Ministry of Justice comprises of 9 departments and collaborates with various partners within the justice chain. In the 2024 budget proposal, the ministry has meticulously reviewed the placement of active staff within the approved function book for the Ministry of Justice. This allocation reflects adjustments in salary positions and associated compensation. The overall cost variances arise from various factors, such as the adoption of new salary tables for civil servants performing police duties, a suggested 2% indexation across all salary tables, and a rise in vacation allowance from 6 to 7%. It is noteworthy that these increased costs are particularly evident in the budget post code 41039. Madam Chairlady, I extend my gratitude and my appreciation to the diligent and dedicated team who has made this achievement possible. It is important to acknowledge that it is this outgoing administration that has successfully realized the long-awaited justice package, which has been in the making for more than a decade. The legal position of persons with police tasks, or the Rex Positie, the Ministry of Justice function book, the new salary scales for persons with police tasks. The adjustment in allowances and overtime rates for civil servants performing police duties impacts the rise in budget allocation for relevant departments. This is evident in Budget Post 41003. Furthermore, the increase is attributed to overtime expenses incurred in 2023. Moreover, the retroactive correction for both the active and inactive staff members of the Ministry of Justice, along with the estimated amount owed, is determined in accordance with the disbursement plan. The one-time expenses stemming from the retroactive correction of both active and inactive civil servants, prompted by the retroactive alignment to the function book and salary tables since October 10th, 2010, are estimated at 44.5 million guilders, inclusive of employers' contribution to pension and social premiums. The current estimate includes around 760 employees, encompassing both active and inactive staff, from October 10th, 2010, projected until the end of 2023. However, the full financial ramifications will only be determined upon the conclusion of this process. The final figures for each individual employee will be recalculated based on a placement confirmed by national decree once it attains an irrevocable state. Following the covenant agreement within the Committee of Civil Servants Union, or the CCSU platform, the disbursement of these amounts will be distributed over a maximum period of 10 years. Annual payments will be determined based on the agreed phased approach. The estimated budget allocation anticipates an annual reservations of approximately 5 million guilders starting from this year, 2024, onwards to align with the disbursement plan. This annual reservations is also integrated into the multi-annual budgets. Important to note, Madam Chair Lady, through you, we have already commenced phase 1 of the phased approach of the placement process for the personnel. As Minister, I have already co-signed 44 individual national decrees in the presence of the concerned personnel, and I am dedicated to overseeing this process until the next administration assumes office. Currently, there is a batch of 25 national decrees awaiting the approval and signature from His Excellency the Governor, and another batch of 25 in the process to go on to the Ministry of Finance.